Chapter 9, Lesson 8 on quadratic functions. Okay, so quadratic function is an equation in the form of y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, a few things to note about this is that the a value cannot be 0. So you can have 1x squared, which is just going to look like x squared. You could have 2x squared or negative x squared, but this cannot be 0 to get rid of the x squared. The b could be 0, and you might not see this term here. The c could also be 0, and you might not see anything here, but you must have an x squared. So a cannot equal 0. The shape of our quadratic functions is going to be what we call a parabola. And a parabola looks like a U. It might be a U like this, or it might be an upside down like U like this. It always makes a curve. Okay, so if I'm going to graph a quadratic function, I'm going to make a table of values. Now, we're going to plug in the values for x. So let's say on the first one I have negative 2 squared, which is 4, and 4 minus 2 is 2. If I have negative 1 squared, that gives me 1, and 1 minus 2 is negative 1. If I have 0, 0 squared is 0, minus 2 is negative 2. If I have 1, 1 squared is 1, 1 minus 2 is negative 1. And if I have 2 squared is 4, 4 minus 2 is 2. You notice we get some points that seem to be kind of in common. So we're going to graph these. So I go negative 2, 2, and put a point. I go to negative 1, and put a point. 0, negative 2, a point. 1, negative 1, a point. And 2, 2, a point. Now we notice we see kind of a U shape. We want to make sure that when we draw our line, we do not draw a V with a point. Remember, this is a curve, that parabola. So we want to make our U the very best that we can. All right. And let's do one more example. So y equals negative x squared plus 1. Don't forget that we need to make sure we do the x squared and then put the negative on it. So we're going to do negative 2 squared is 4. Put the negative on it. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. Negative 1 squared is 1. Put the negative on it. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. 0 squared is 0. Negative doesn't matter. Plus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. Put the negative on it. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. 2 squared is 4. Put the negative on it. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. And then we're going to graph it. So we go negative 2, negative 3, negative 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 2, negative 3. And now I have that parabola that's an upside down U. And again, we want to make sure it's curved. You want to make sure and go through your dots too, not like what I did.